Hello and welcome to youthsaga.com. Today we have with us Mr. Bobby Nash. He's a legendary American author and he used his hand in every part of writing short stories, novels, pulp fiction, comic characters. He's a man of also he's a man of multiple talents and skills. So, Bobby, welcome to our show today.
Thank you so much for having me. That I've never been called legendary before. I like that. That's not. I've been called many things. I've never been called that before.
Yeah. So when I got to you, so it's a full of words, a lot of wonderful image stories and cover stories. I think your publisher is really work hard to make your stories look good.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely is it definitely takes a good bit of time. There's a lot of hours spent here in the office. As you can see, this is my one clean corner of the office for video. Yes, if you look over there, it's a stack of boxes. Over there, it's a stack of books. But yeah, I spend a lot of time here, in my office. Just me and the keyboard, and the characters were talking to me in my head. So, but in a good way.
Yes, and just tell us about your complete journey from how do you think to start writing in your early life, and where did you start, and how the journey move forward of writing.
Okay. I started out writing comic books. I started out writing comics and drawing my own, like so many of us did when we were kids. You write and draw your own. You staple them together. They're just on whatever paper you can find, and so that was how I started. I had this grand dream that I was going to draw comic books. That was what I was going to do. But I'm not quite good enough as an artist to draw comics. But I started writing them to have things to draw, and then other artists started asking me to write stories for them. And so a friend of mine suggested that if I stopped splitting my focus between the two and focused on either writing or art, I would get better at it. And so I took his advice. A couple years later, I was writing comics for a comic publisher. So I did comics for a few years. I still do them whenever I can. It's not as often as I would like, but I still like it. I still enjoy writing comics. And then I decided one day to try and write a novel. So I did that. And the first one was awful. It was terrible, horrible. But I finished it.
Yeah.
And so that kind of motivated me to try and do another one. So I wrote a second novel, which I ended up selling. It took about 6 years to sell, shopping it around, and but I sold my first novel in 2004, and it came out in 2005, and that was a novel called Evil Ways, which is it's a murder mystery and a thriller, with a little bit of horror in it, and so, but from that, I started getting other work because I do a lot of conventions and a lot of promotion, a lot of events where I'm out. And so I would meet other people, and I would meet editors, and I would, having a book in your hand makes it a little easier when you're talking to editors. Because if you go up and say, "Hi, I'm a writer," and they go, "Oh, well, what have you written?" And if you say, "Oh, well, I'm working on my first book," you can kind of see the glaze go over their eyes, But if you go up and they say, "Hi, what have you written?" and you say, "Oh, I wrote this book," and you put a book in their hand, you've bought yourself at least a little credibility because you have a book in your hand. So using Evil Ways, I used that to go on and get another gig, and I was doing stuff that I was creating, but I also managed to do where I was getting hired by publishers for books that were their characters or licensed characters or things like that. So in addition to creating my own stuff, I can also then do stuff that is not mine, just for other publishers. And that's kind of where I got started. And it's been pretty busy since 2005, so I can't complain.
That's amazing that your hard work start pay you off.
Yeah. There's a lot of, if I go through, I can go through and look at all the books I've done, and I can go, okay, I got this book because of this book. There's kind of like a nice staircase of this one got me to this one to get, and so yeah, so you're whatever you write, whatever you put out there is your resume, and whether you have a book or whether you're doing it online or however you're doing it, that's all your resume, and so you can use those things to introduce yourself to other publishers. And so yeah, so it's a lot of work and it's time consuming, but when you finally get that one editor that goes, "Ooh, I like that. Yes, I'll take it." It's a wonderful feeling. It's yeah.
Well, so my next question would be that writing is not an easy job. I think most of people don't have a write down on one page in their entire life, because writing is imagination. You have to portray your imagination on the paper, so it's not an easy task. So as you are a comic book writer and you have to have a hand on art and you have a pulp fiction stories, comic novels, so how Bobby thinks and imagine characters. So
well, yeah, it's weird. I wish I knew a good answer for this, but the first thing I do in any project that I write, I start with the characters. I get to know the characters. So the characters become real people to me. In my head, they're real people. And that means they will talk to me. They will, I know, and it sounds really weird to people that are not writers, but they talk to you. They tell you what they will and will not do. Because I know some of my non-writing friends think I'm crazy when I say, yeah, I can't get my character to do what I want them to do. And they're like, aren't you the writer? Like, that doesn't mean anything. So, yeah. So, first thing is that. So I get to know the characters, and then I can put them into situations. And situations are easy to come up with. But getting the character and making people care about the characters, making the characters feel real, making the characters feel consistent. You want the character to feel like the character as as we go along. And a lot of this started, my imagination started when I was a kid. I was almost 9 by the time my baby brother was born. So for 9 years, when I went out and played in the after, I was by myself, So there was a lot of imagination there, you writing backstories for the action figures you're playing with, or, things like that. And so that just all stuck with me. And to this day, ideas come to me all the time. So if I don't write them down, they're still in there. So I have to get them out of my head. So writing does that. So but how they all come to me, I really wish I knew. They just kind of pop in there. New characters or old characters. I wrote in Evil Ways, we talked about, I have a secondary character in there that I never had any intentions of writing but once, in that book. He is now on his 4th appearance in books because he keeps reminding me he's there and goes, "This is where you should call me in." And so, yeah, so the characters really kind of get in there and they like live in the back of my head here. So sometimes I think they're the boss and I just work for them.
It's something like we see the Hollywood movies of hallucination. You just get connected.
Yeah, they're in there. Like I say,
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because they feel so real to me that we have conversations. I know it's again. I know to non-writers that sounds weird, but we do. Will you do this? No, I won't do that. Why won't you do that? Well, or they'll tell me. Sometimes you'll have things where I will be surprised. I'm writing something and I get to a point where there's a twist, and I go, "Ooh, I like that. Let me go set it up." And I go back and go another pass and realize that the clues for the twist are already there. I, as the writer, just didn't see them yet, but the characters knew, which is, it's weird, but it works. Yeah.
Anyway, that is the secret revealed on our show today, that how do you really imagine and work in your professional life. So that's an amazing thing that came to know about you. Next thing I would like ask Jack, you have bagged a lot of awards lots of hours from various things. So quite impressive number of hours you get in your life. So how do you
Hmm.
feel when get the appreciations for your work, for your publisher work? So how do you feel when you're rewarded for your work?
Well, I mean, on the one part, when you're doing it, it's a lot of work. I mean, when you're doing the work, it is really me sitting here for hours in front of the laptop. You get up, your back hurts, or your eyes are sore. It's a job. It's there's that part of it. But I will say, getting the offers from publishers is an incredible experience. Because it does validate you that someone comes to you and says, "Hey, would you like to write something for us?" There's also that feeling when, and I've been doing this a long time, and this feeling never gets old, is when a new book comes out and they show up at my house for the first time, and I open up the box and there's my new book. You still get this big smile on your face, this big sense of accomplishment because, oh my God, look what I've done, or look what we've done. Because, it's, even though you're writing by yourself, there's other people involved in the process, but it's still a big sense of accomplishment when I see a new book, arrive. And I hope that feeling never goes away, because it is a big feeling of accomplishment. To this day, I still feel very accomplished when a new book comes out or a publisher comes to me and says, "How would you like to work on something for us?" Because it does kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It legitimizes it a little bit, because early in my career, I often say this, there was a time whenever I get those woe is me feelings, like, why isn't my career where I want it to be? I remember that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was like sending stuff to publishers, almost begging them to read my stuff, not even just publish it, just read it so I can talk to you, So we've come a long way. So, we still got a ways to go. I'm not quite where I want to be yet, but I'm getting there.
So. Uh, that's really cool. That all of us, we just face the bad times in our life, so we have to come over that. We have to do hard work. So when we just come over that, and we got the achievements and the appreciation, it's really meant to us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, and sometimes the writing is therapeutic. You mentioned bad times. We have those. My family's had a rough couple of years. We lost my mother. We lost my brother. My dad's been sick. There's been a lot of stuff that I've had to do. Sometimes being able to escape into the writing on a day when nothing else is going on, it feels good, because, I can leave my real world behind for a few hours to escape into these places where car chases are happening, or, monsters are showing up, or whatever I'm writing. So sometimes writing is an escape. Other times it's a job. I mean, it's, and like any job, there are days where you just would rather do anything else,
Yes.
So one of the things I've had to learn is how to prioritize and schedule things. I schedule days off, because if you don't take a day off, you'll drive yourself crazy. I schedule things like that. And as a writer too, writing is only a small part of my day. I write. I also have to do a lot of marketing and promotion. That can take up half your day right there. Especially if you're doing, interviews or writing press kits, or, I do publish some books on my own. So then there's the production work that I do on those, which is, it's all important, but it's not writing. So there's a lot of other things that go through my day. Plus I do a lot of conventions and events, as I mentioned earlier. So you may be gone 2 or 3 days for some of those, or, I also do a lot of, especially this year, I've done a lot of things like what we're doing here, these video interviews or virtual panels. There have been a lot of those, which are part of the marketing and promotion process. And getting your name and your work out there, hopefully to a new audience, or so there's a lot of things that go into being a writer that are not writing, but are still very important. And unfortunately, I'm a one-man band. I don't have someone I can go, okay, you handle the promotion, I'll write. No, it's all me. I'm a one-man show here. So yeah, I need interns, or that's what I need. I need interns.
Okay, so you're one-man army. You're just
yes,
handling all the front all together.
because there are days you have to really be careful, because you can, because usually the way I start my day when I sit down here at the office, the first thing I do is check email, answer any, it's still weird to me that I get quote unquote fan mail, or I get requests for interviews, or, and then I go, okay, I've got to promote this or promote that. And so I start my day doing all that. And the next thing I know, I've been here 3 hours, and then it's like, okay, take a break, come back. We're going to write for 3 hours to try to keep it balanced, which is tough, because you can really get lost in doing all this stuff, keeping up with your social media. It doesn't seem like it takes a long time, but then when you get done, you realize, wow, I've been here 4 hours. So keeping the schedule it helps a lot.
Yeah, that's true, because managing the time management is a huge impact in your life. You haven't managed your time, you just lose the work, lose the time. It's precious every day.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then, because I start with doing that stuff, if I wasn't focused on keeping the time scheduling, I would do that all day, and then I'd go, I didn't have any time to write today, and I'd never get anything written. So yeah. And of course, once it becomes a job, there's this old joke. I don't remember who told me this, but there's this old joke. You go in and the writer goes in and sits down in his office and goes, I am a writer. I am going to write, but first. And then you just kind of leave it blank, because they're going to find something else to occupy their time. I can't tell you how many times I've walked in here and says, I need to write. I should clean the office first. Or, oh, no, I should fill out this first. Or I should clean that first. Or I should, yeah. So but once I get set down and started, I'm okay. But the hardest thing for me to do is to sit down in this chair right here. But once I'm there, I'm okay. But getting me in that chair is tough some mornings.
Yeah, I can understand that. So you just, apart from your writing, you do a lot of podcasts for the website, and given interviews to a lot of website platforms. And you have worked for TV shows, television shows, the movies, and So that's a visual and audio medium. Apart from writing, it's a different medium. And how do you enjoy that? Because writing is different, and show of business and TV is different. So how do you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's fun. I get to get around people. Like I said, as a writer, I'm trapped in a room by myself with just people in my head. It is nice to get out and be around other people. I love the process of making movies and TV. And I do two different things. Like, I do some acting where I have lines, and I do that. But I also, here in the Atlanta area, we have a lot of projects that are just looking for extras and background, and I do that from time to time as well. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. You get to play dress up, and because I've played an FBI agent, I've played businessmen. I played I was in Doom Patrol, where I was in like this funky get up. I've played fans at football games, at baseball games. There's one show that got a shot of me, and the shot was me and two other guys are in the bathroom at a baseball game, and we're all just standing there at the urinals using and the camera's behind us when something weird happens over the PA system, and we're all just kind of going, looking back at, so just weird stuff, So yeah, I hung out in the bathroom for a day, or we hung out this one guy's backyard one day because they had rented his house to for the FBI to raid it, or weird things like that. It's just in one way it's not very different from writing because it is very imagination heavy. But then again, it's also I have no control there. With my writing, I'm in control. There, it's they say go stand over there, so I go stand over there, and so. But it's fun. I've had some really fun things where I've got to do some very interesting character work, or because you're like I said, you have to invent the characters kind of what as you're going. And so, as a writer, I'm giving my character backstory. Probably more than I need to, but I give them, why they're here, why they're doing this. And so it's a lot of fun. And, like I said, I enjoy the getting out and playing. And, I get cast a lot as the angry fat guy. I don't know why, but I'm a big guy. I'm a big guy, but I get cast as an angry a lot. And, which is weird. It's fun. It's fun to play angry. So, I could go in and kind of sneer and, sneer and gripe and grumble and, so, but yeah, it's fun. I have a ball doing it. I hope to, with everything going on this year, things have kind of slowed down a little bit. They're just starting to open back up. There's a lot of restrictions right now. Like, I did get invited to be part of a movie that I had to turn down. As I mentioned earlier, I take care of my dad. So right now what they're doing is like, they're hiring you for the movie. You have to stay sequestered there for the whole shoot. So I would have had to have been down there for like 38 days. And my dad had doctor's appointments and I couldn't leave him for 38 days. So I had to say no. But, most times it's you go work a day, 2 days. I think the most I worked at one time, I did 2 weeks on Dumb and Dumber 2 for the 1 second of screen time I was there for 2.5 weeks. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch how things work. It's almost like going to film school, I guess, and especially with TV, because when you're doing movies have such a bigger scale that when they yell cut, it may be 20, 30, 40 minutes to an hour before you do the next scene. So they send everybody over here to a trailer where you can't see what's going on. With TV, because TV moves so much faster, when they say cut, everybody stands over in the corner. So you can still watch. You can still see what they're doing. And you can see why they're making the decisions they're making on what to put where and watch what they're doing. And it's almost like I said, it's almost like going to film school. And so I find the whole process fascinating. It's one of the dreams that one day somebody will like take one of my books and it'll get translated. That would be awesome.
And
fingers crossed.
That'll be fun that your characters become alive in front of the camera. That's amazing. So
yeah, because to me, like I said, in my head, they're already that way. When I'm watching them do what they do to write it down, in my head, they're moving. It's like I'm watching the movie in my head already. So, but yeah, it's a cool process. I've had a lot of fun working on movies, and I've got to meet some really interesting people, and not just actors and directors and whatnot, but my Evil Ways is about an FBI agent, and I was on Kevin Bacon had a show called The Following where he played an FBI agent. So there was a real FBI agent on set. And at one point he was not busy and I was not busy. So I walked up and introduced myself. And so through meeting him, I got to go spend a day with the FBI in Atlanta, check out their offices, get some background info that I was able to use in my next book. So, sometimes you can meet interesting people through doing things. And that taught me a lot about going out and for research purposes, that if you go in and say, you can talk to people. People love to tell you about their jobs. They love to tell you what they do. So I've met a lot of police officers, fire department officers, investigators, detectives, SWAT team members, FBI agents, I've met a couple Secret Service agents. So stuff like that where you can talk to them and you can ask questions, and it also lends a little credibility to your stories because you're putting in those little details that make it work.
I think that will help you, the real characters help you to write down your own stuff, so you have a real-time example from the society.
Mm-hmm. Right, and when you meet people that do those jobs, you can kind of work that person into the character, see how they respond to things, because especially these jobs like that are very dour and depressing jobs, people use humor to cope with it, to deal with it, finding out, so learning things like that, how people cope with jobs that are not easy, or jobs that are dangerous, or jobs that are just disturbing. That helps a lot. And you can kind of borrow tidbits of the real person and put them into your character as that's your basis. And you build on top of that by adding your character on top of this nugget that you start with. And I think that's also part of what helps make them real. When I first started writing, now I don't do it as much now, but when I first started writing, I would take every character, I would cast someone in that role. Whether it would be, and not necessarily actors, it could be just real people I know. Like Evil Ways features two brothers as the main characters. So one of the brothers has my personality, the other brother has my brother's personality. And giving them those personalities made their interactions better, because how brothers talk to each other in a way that people that are not related don't. Just like two sisters talk to each other one way, they treat each other differently. And so those little character nuggets, those are what really makes those characters feel real, or makes the reader associate with them. Oh, I have a brother, my brother, and I do that same thing, that kind of thing. So.
Okay, that's really fun part that you have, as a writer, you have to observe things around you, get the inspiration for your writing. That's really cool thing to do. So next thing that you have a physical store of yourself, and you sell your books physically in the store and on online too. So can you just tell us about how can we find your books online?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Because, my books are pretty much everywhere. You can Amazon, obviously. Amazon, worldwide has my books. Most of my books are available in paperback and ebook. Some are available also in hardcover and audio. We try to, especially the ones I do myself through Ben Books, which I do my snow books and whatnot through. I try to make sure they're in as many formats as possible. So, whatever, if you like hardcovers, there's a hardcover. If you like, I want to make sure if there's a format you like, it's there. But yeah, so I have Amazon, Barnes and Noble, as many online retailers, they're there. Most of the books, especially the ones I do, are print on demand for the paper books. The ebooks are just there. So yeah, they're for sale, all around the world. And then I do have my website, bobbynash.com and ben-books.com. There's a store link on there where I do sell autographed books that you can buy autographed books directly from me and pay the shipping, and then I'll just ship them to you. As a little extra, when I send stuff out, I draw a little picture on your envelope as well. So it's like a little freebie. I do little freebie arts for people, and yes, the people at the post office seem to get a big kick out of those. They, when I go in, people behind me in line hate it because the postmaster's got to stop and look at all the drawings I've done. But those are fun. I enjoy doing those, and people seem to enjoy getting those. So it's a nice little bonus. But I do those. Yeah, so you can buy those direct. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that. So they're easy to find.
Yeah. And even though Amazon.com is a global platform, even
Mm-hmm.
Amazon is everywhere. So you can have it from
Yes.
the Amazon.
Yeah, because when I go through and check
Yeah.
I go through because there is an Amazon. You can just drop down. I can go. Let me check Amazon US, UK, Canada, and I just go through all the countries and check. Check to see. I can see sales. I can see reviews, things like that. Reviews are awesome. We love reviews. I try to share those whenever I get them. Just as it's part of the marketing. Instead of me, you have to come up with creative ways to market, because if I spend all of my time just posting, "Hey, buy my book" posts, people ignore those. I ignore those. People ignore them. So, part of my marketing is if someone leaves a review, I'll share the review and say, "Hey, go, here's this review. Want to read the whole review? Go here." And that takes you to the Amazon page where the review is. So, there's things like that we try to do as part of the marketing to it's not sneaky. It's just not beating you over the head with it that, here, I have a book, buy this book. It's like, no, see what somebody else said about the book. And good or bad, I put them up good or bad. I have shared a couple that didn't love the books, and because those opinions are still valid, So yeah, and not every book's for everybody. So if I get a review, I share it, and it's been pretty good so far as getting people as a marketing tool. So
Yeah. Because running a business is not create a product only. We have to market it, and for the marketing, we have to understand the customer psychology too. It's a psychological game too.
Right, and you're not just selling books; you're selling yourself. I mean, part of what I sell is me. And that and by that I mean this is me. This is not a fake me. But you do put your best foot forward in an interview or whatever. But I try to be as real and honest of who I am and put that out there. And and sometimes that helps too. People get to know you before they realize, oh, I want to check out your books because I've met you or I've heard you. So, and that's part of the reason, you do podcasts and you do interviews and you do the panels. It's to get, not just to get your books out there, but to get you out there. And, it was younger and started. Obviously, I got over that, but it took a lot of work to get over that. When I started, there was no way I could have done what we're doing now. I was very shy. I was very, you were getting 1-2 word answers out of me. Now I won't shut up,
I mean, most of the time you live in your own imagination and you enjoy that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's one of those things that's, like I said, it's a learned skill. There was a lot of, jumbles and mistakes and whatnot along the way, but doing the conventions helped. When they put you up on a panel, so you're at a table at the front of a room with a couple hundred people, that'll certainly help you get over being shy. Doing things like this, even though it's just one-on-one, it's just you and I talking. Yeah. I am kind of cognizant that there are going to be other people watching. So you just kind of learn how to. Yeah, it's like I said, I'm sorry, I rambled.
It's fine. So tell us about that. What is your next future project? And
I just finished a short story. I'm currently working on the 6th book in the Snow series, the Snow series over here. Yeah. Book 6 will end series 1. Series 1 was a series of 6 novellas that each book, I make it a point that each book is a standalone story. The A plot has a beginning, middle, and end. But if you read all 6, there's one big story. And so that story reaches its conclusion in book 6, which I'm working on now. barring any unforeseen circumstances, it should be out sometime in December. Maybe January, but I'm shooting for December. So that's currently on the book. I'm also doing. Oops, I think I lost you there. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm also doing. I'm working on book 3 of a 4-book series I'm doing for 5 books called Hunter Houston Horror Hunter, which is a bit of a comedy horror series. So I'm working on book 3 of that, and I'm making plans for 2021. We are going to do some more snow books. Series 2 will start in 2021. We're also going to do something called Snow Shorts, which we'll be announcing in January, what those are and who's involved. So a lot of snow stuff for next year. The sequel to Evil Ways will be out next year. I'm currently serializing it on my Patreon page where they get 2 chapters a week. That's kind of a way to help. It's helping me edit as I go while I'm working on other stuff. And so I do a few serialized things through there. So yeah, some more stuff like that coming. And then I've got some stuff I've got for publishers. I'm just waiting for them to announce.
So a lot of work in your queue.
Yes. Yeah. I will be busy between now and the end of February. I'm pretty busy. And I'm sure by the time February gets here, that will have moved out some. So yeah, but there's a lot to do. I keep a running board up here of things I need to do, and yeah, it never seems to get empty. It's like every time I knock something off of it, I add something else to it, and so but yeah. It's hard to say no sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty good that you always get involved, get doing the things which you do really you love to do. So that's amazing that you're living your dream life. So my final appeal and request is that please say something to your well-wishers, your publishers, and people who help you a lot to support you to move on and do what you're doing to help you. So what is your message to your lovers, your well-wishers?
Certainly thank you. You start with thank you because I've been very fortunate. I have a lot of wonderful cheerleaders in my corner. I have a lot of wonderful friends and family who will, because there are days you get discouraged. And so having those people that kind of help you when you feel like, why am I doing this? I should just give up. And they're like, no, keep going. I've also been very fortunate that, I have a wonderful fan base that not only do they buy books, but they share posts that I make on social media, or, they'll leave reviews. I have a Patreon page where people, give me money every month, for some exclusive content, or, there's a lot of that. The writing community, there's a lot of, over the years, I've met a lot of, not just writers, writers, artists, actors. Doing conventions, you meet a lot of people. And I found that it is a very open, very welcoming, very supportive group. I know that if right now, if I hit a writing problem or just something that I needed to talk to a writer about, I can think of 10 people off the top of my head I could call right now, and they would, I could talk it out. So it's and I would like to think they would think they could do that with me as well. And so it's a very wonderful community of supportive people. I don't look upon other writers as my competition. Yes, we're all out there fighting for the same dollars, but if another writer has success, that doesn't mean I don't, so we try to support each other. So if this writer has success, we're happy for that writer, and so so the stuff like that. But I've met so many people that are, that I see at conventions or events all the time, or people I talk to on social media all the time. I have people who like my books in other countries, that's cool. Or people will travel with books to get me to sign them. that's pretty awesome. It takes effort. You put those on an airplane, and it's not cheap to put anything on an airplane. So you put these on an airplane and flew them, So I try not to take any of that for granted. I mean, because nobody has to buy anything I do, So the fact that people enjoy what I write enough to keep reading is something I don't take for granted, and I try to be the best me I can and put the best work out, and not be trouble, or to be the good kind of trouble, I guess, the writer kind of trouble. But it's I feel very fortunate. There's it's so I try to say thank you as much as I can, but it's I've been very, like I said, I've been very lucky.
Okay, that's cool. That we'll be always be fortunate when we have a good supportive group of people. It's really helpful in our life.
Absolutely. I mean, my family was pretty good about talking stuff up. My dad still does. My dad, he's one of my better cheerleaders. And like I said, I've got other friends, and it's cool too that because of the camaraderie of the writing community, there are times when, one writer is doing a job for a publisher, and the publisher goes, "Man, we need one more writer." And they're like, "I know somebody." So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of, I guess I'll just go ahead and say it here with the snow shorts that we're talking about. The snow shorts is going to be short stories where I reached out to author friends of mine and said, how would you like to write a short story with one or two of these characters? So and people answer whether, because everybody's busy. So, but I was very impressed and happy with the number of people that said, sure, I'd love to do that. So that's cool. So it's, there's a lot of the back and forth between, reading each other's books, or, I don't do it every day like I used to. I got to get back to that, but I try to promote somebody's something that's not mine on a regular basis. When I see a friend or it doesn't even have to be a friend. Sometimes it's just somebody I know online, or maybe or just something that looks cool. I try to, promote other people's stuff ever so often. And, because I do believe in that old saying about the rising tide lifting all boats. And I do believe that's true. So I know other writers that do the same thing, that are happy to promote other people's stuff. Yeah. Again, I rambled. I'm sorry.
Okay. So thank you, Bobby. Thank you for being with us, and you make some time for us today for the interview. It's really appreciated time, and because you are a very busy person, and we wish you good luck for upcoming projects and in your future. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care and have a wonderful time.
Thanks. You too. Thanks for having me. This was fun.